Here's to you, dear listeners, and welcome to Metal Gear Mondays, the most thorough Metal Gear podcast on the internet. I am your host, Sam Wright, and I'm here with another interview episode. I'm here by myself. It's just me. Alessio got to talk to Chris Zimmerman, Salter by himself. I got to talk to Paul Eiding by myself. God damn it. If it wasn't readily apparent to you, I sat down, I spoke to Paul Eiding, a.k.a. Colonel Campbell, a.k.a. Grandpa Max from Ben 10. He's been in a lot of stuff, a.k.a. Perceptor from G1 Transformers. That's good shit right there. He is a wonderful man. Set aside some time for us to talk. What I would like to do really quickly is, first of all, give a huge shout out to Randall NG, who we met at Renton City Retro, at the convention in Renton that Isaac, Alessio, and myself went to a couple weeks ago. Who we just kind of struck up a conversation with him. He moderated the panel that Cam Clark and David Hayter were on that we went to, and he recognized me and Isaac because we were sitting in the front row, and we just had a conversation. I mentioned the podcast, and Randall was just like, yeah, I do fan stuff for Paul Eiding, and I was just like, oh, no kidding, we've been wanting to get in contact with him for the show. And Randall goes, I can hook you up. I was just like, what, really? And he's like, yeah. So we sent Randall an email. Randall got us in touch with Paul, and the rest, as they say, is history. Randall is a fantastic animator. He's done a lot of great stuff. So give him a look up on that there old internets. Yeah, he's a great guy. Paul's a great guy. Everybody is great. We talked to a lot of people. Everybody's been wonderful, including Randall and Paul. So thank you, Randall. Thank you, Paul. Let's almost get right into it. We have to do our little pluggy things that we usually do. First things first, you can go to MetalGearMondays.com to follow everything related to the podcast. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter at Metal Gear Monday. There is no S on that one. We have a shop that you can, bit.ly/MGM store. We have a Patreon /Metal Gear Mondays where you can donate as little as $1 and get cool perks. You're probably listening to this episode super early, since if you donate $2 or more, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so check that out. We're on youtube.com/Metal Gear Mondays. We actually have the link now, thanks to you guys for subscribing to us on YouTube. Now we have a simple link people can use to get to us, and they can't take it away from us. Or can they? I don't know how YouTube works, but whatever. And yeah, check all of those things out. You can find me on Twitter at Sanjul. That's SANJUUL. You can follow Paul on Twitter at for Paul Eiding. That is the number 4 Paul EIDING. You can also find him on Facebook under the name Paul Eiding, Instagram, Cameo if you want to have him record something for you. We talk about this in the episode towards the end, but I wanted to get it up at the top just there for you. He's going to be in Australia with David Hayter and Donna Burke, potentially, for our Australian listeners. That was a really bad Australian accent. I'm so sorry. They are going to be at the Armored Heaven exhibition booth at Supanova, June 21st through the 23rd in Sydney, and then June 29th through 30th in Perth. Sorry. Paul's been before. This is going to be David's first appearance in Australia. So if you are in Australia and you're going to Supanova, show them some love. They'll let them know that Sam Wright and Metal Gear Monday sent you. And yeah, what else? He's a cool guy. You can find because I want to make sure I give my boy here a shout out. You can find Randall online. His website is www.randallng.com. That's RANDALLNG.com. So please check him out. He, like I said, he's a fantastic animator. He does 3D art. He does storyboards. He's been working in the industry doing stuff like this for years, for well over 10 years now. 1996, I think, is when he started in the industry. So check him out, and thank you again, Randall, for getting us in touch with Paul. I think really that's it. I guess we'll start the episode. Should we start the episode? I don't need anybody's permission. I'm here by myself. Let's talk to Paul Eiding.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm well. All is well here. How about you?
Always well. I'm doing pretty good.
Cool.
Pretty good.
I didn't close my office door so my dogs don't go crazy.
We've had a couple of furry guests on the show. I think Debbie's dog, Yemi Mae West's dog, came in when we were recording with her. So.
Real life.
Sometimes stuff just happens. Well, yeah. So I think we're set. And I wanted to thank you so much for taking time out to talk to me today.
No worries, man.
We have
always fun.
Yeah, you've been on our short list for a while. People have been wanting to hear from you, so it's good to finally do it.
Cool. Happy to be here.
And the way that this kind of happened is we went to a convention in Renton, Washington, where we met Randall, who kind of got us linked up. And I was wondering, how did you come to meet him, and kind of what does he do for you?
Randall Ng, he's an amazing animator. We met, and the first con I ever went to was 2010. I'm one of the original voices, one of the original Transformers from Generation 1. And I voiced Perceptor, the most intelligent of the Autobots. And I met Randall in Orlando at a BotCon in 2010. Never wanted to go before that because I had daughters at home. Now that that was when they were both off in college. So I said, okay, screw it. I'm going to start traveling around and meeting fans. And met Randall there and saw some of his work, and he blew me away. And he worked a lot with different Transformers and whatnot. He did I don't know if you remember the Gundam style when that song was big. I forgot the Korean.
Oh yeah, the Psy, yeah.
Yeah, and he did this whole animation with the Transformers dancing Gundam style. And I don't know how many millions upon millions upon millions of views it has had by now, but just tons. And we became fast friends. He's just a man of quality and an honorable guy. And in fact, a few years later, he came to a con here in I think it was in Pasadena. And he got here a day earlier or something like that, a day or two early. So he stayed with my wife and I because my daughters were gone, so we had an extra room. And we've just been friends ever since. And he told me that I should have a fan page. And I've always used my regular Facebook page for, fans of the things that I've done. And so he set up a fan page for me. And he's much better at me than I am with trying to keep it up to date. He's constantly on me saying, well, Paul, maybe we should add something. What are you doing? And I always forget to add anything to the page. But it's anything that's on there now is because Randall tries to keep it up to date for me. He's just a good man. you know.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. So we've been friends since 2010.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I think I actually recall seeing that Transformers video now that I'm thinking about it. And you've done other videos, kind of like really fun videos, kind of like that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, like the Ford commercial, the featuring Snake and Colonel Campbell that you did a few years ago. Do you enjoy doing stuff like that, or is it does it feel kind of like an obligation almost to the fans?
No, I never feel like an obligation. Obligation in that I feel that I owe the fans something,
Okay.
because with if you want to just get real, without fans, people like me, we're nothing. You know, it really is um, a, a group effort. I've said it before at conventions and when I do panels, that we really are in all this together.
Mhm.
Um, sure, we're the ones with our voices or faces. If you're on camera, we're the ones up there doing it. But there are all the people who did the writing, created the game, and then the consumer, the audience, people who watch the game or get passionate about what we've done. They keep all of us going. So it's I never feel like I have to do it, except that I feel that I want to do it because
Right.
we owe the fans something. Listen, when I
Yeah.
first did that first convention for Transformers, it was a Transformers centric convention, and I talked to a couple of other guys who were Generation One, and they'd gone to cons. I said, "Well, what happens when somebody asks you questions?" And they say, "Well, I just tell them." I was like, "I don't know what that. It was 25 years ago. I don't know." So I felt like I owed it to the fans to at least do some research and try. So I watched all the the Transformers episodes that we worked on, just so it would rekindle some memories for me, and so I could talk like I knew something about what I was saying. So I wasn't just blowing smoke. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's sort of. I feel like I'm obliged to do that, but that's just me. It's not because, and it's fun. I have a
Yeah.
good time.
So you don't ever get like tired of, I guess, quote, being Colonel Campbell or any of your other characters that you go to these cons?
Are you kidding me? No, never, never. Listen, for an actor, I'm an actor. Before being a voice actor, I'm an actor. Um, and to be a stage actor, film, TV, whatever, all you want to do is have someone feel something about your work. And if I've been very lucky to be in franchises that have lasted 20, um, 25 years, 35 years.
Yeah.
So I'm the lucky guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I never get tired. Campbell, he's the guy I want to be. Are you kidding? Him and Grandpa Max from Ben
Yeah.
10 are the ones. Those are the guys that I would love to be.
Yeah. I was gonna bring up Grandpa Max because I think the day that because I loved watching Ben 10 as well when I was younger, and I think the day that I clicked, I was like, wait a second, that's the Colonel. What's going
Yeah,
on? It was a fun day for me.
those two are probably the closest vocally.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Things that I've done. I've done a lot of things with gravel and that sort of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
those two characters are, vocally are pretty close,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty close to my natural voice. Depending upon the
Yeah.
type of day. Now, later in the day, my voice is more Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's times of the day where I will listen to my voice, especially sometimes in the morning. I listen to my voice and I just can't stand it. I've said to my wife a few times, I said, Jesus, do I sound as unattractive, my voice? Is that to you as it is to me? And sometimes she'll say, it's a little grating, but my wife is very honest.
Yeah. I can imagine. Do you,
yeah.
I was going to say, so you have this voice, and speaking to you, like in hearing you in other interviews you've done in the past, like you said, your voice is very naturally like Grandpa Max or Colonel Campbell.
Right.
Did you find yourself doing like something maybe not quite as similar to your voice in the past? Where is that? Have you done anything like that before?
Oh yeah. Well, Perceptor.
Yeah.
Perceptor from Transformers. He says things like, cursory evaluation of Decepticon capability indicates a distinct tactical deficiency. So he's up here.
Very kind of flighty a little bit.
Yeah. And in games like Skyrim,
mm-hmm.
where I play this old mage who lives in the ice cave, and he doesn't sound like Campbell at all. He's an old wizardy kind of guy who talks in riddles and rhymes, and Hojo in Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
It was a more higher voice, more nasally, really unattractive sound, but an actor does what you're asked to do. So, and I love those. Back in the day when I was doing Transformers, I just did a con this weekend, and someone brought it up. A lot of the guys who did the Transformers back in the 80s also
mm-hmm.
worked on G.I. Joe. But there were certain casting directors that would only bring me in for a higher pitch thing. I did the Smurfs and a lot of the Hanna-Barbera stuff, and I was more upper register sort of characters. And then other casting directors would bring me in for the lower end of my voice. So it depends on who's casting you too. Some people hear you as one thing, other people hear you as something totally different. In Fallout
mm-hmm.
4, in Fallout 3, I'm basically 17 old characters. And in Fallout 4, I'm the rep, the Vault-Tec.
You're the guy. We hear you, like one of the first things we hear is you coming up to the door.
Good morning, Vault-Tec calling. Which is back up there,
Yeah.
And I love that. When I get Ben 10, I got to do when we did Omniverse, I did five different characters, which was great fun. Incredibles 2, I get to do this character called Reflux, the superhero wannabe.
Oh goodness, was that you?
That's me. Yeah, name's
That's
Reflux.
Wonderful.
Medical conditioner superpower. You be the judge.
That's wonderful.
The first time I saw that movie, I saw it with my daughter. I was visiting her in Minnesota, where she was doing theater.
Yeah.
And we got the absolute last 2 tickets to be sold for I think it was the second or third showing. And we were sitting in the back of the theater. And when he came on, I had no idea what kind of reaction he would get. I loved him, and I thought he was just so stupid and so funny. And he got this huge laugh. And my daughter also just, because I never let her know what I had said. And she cracked up. And so I was like, okay, that made Dad happy. It's like, even my daughter laughed. Because neither of my daughters have ever played any of the video games I've done.
Mm-hmm.
They've never played one of the video games that I've worked on. They're just not, they were just never into games. However, every guy they've dated have. So it's like, okay, at least they choose right.
Yeah, at the very least they know.
Yeah, at least they choose.
Do you find that if they bring somebody home, they're intimidated by you because they know you from like your Colonel Campbell, you're this
It's funny because when my older daughter was she went to school for theater at University of Southern California, and it wasn't until I think the second year she was there that I'm hanging out with all we go to see all the shows because that's what we do. If you're a theater person, you support theater. So we
Absolutely.
go see all the shows. We know all the kids. They come over to our house for parties and whatnot. And then one day, uh, it's one young man came up to me and said, "Holy shit, man! I just realized who you were." He just he just never put it together that he'd been playing Metal Gear. And he said, "Excuse my language." He said, "You're the fucking Colonel." And then he apologized for swearing.
That's amazing.
It was very funny. And then because my daughter didn't talk about it. There wasn't like a big deal to them.
Yeah.
But my younger daughter said when she went to school, to college in Minnesota for theater, she said she got bummed because she had mentioned that what I did. And she said, and now I don't know if the guys like me for me or if they like me because I'm your daughter. It's like they got over it.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, my younger daughter, my older daughter, who's out here in California, has worked on several video games, which is really great. Yeah. So she's following it. Well, both of them are. They're both actors, which shows that I'm a bad father.
I was going to ask, what is that like? What is that like for you? Is that something that you like actively discouraged them from doing, or what?
No. They never went on. We didn't take them on auditions when they were younger. Mm-hmm. We didn't do any of that stuff. We wanted to make sure it was their choice, not mom and dad's choice. So they started later than a lot of the kids out here because we didn't want to do that stuff. Because I had done TV series with young actors in fact, one young actor especially, whose parents basically pushed him into it. Mm-hmm. And he ended up not being a very happy young man, and we didn't want that stuff. So when they made the decision, they went to an arts high school, and then when they decided they wanted to go to college for theater, you support them. It's like if someone has a passion, you got to support them, let them follow that dream. Who knows what will happen? I don't care if they stay with it. But even the failures, the rejections you get every day as an actor helps build your character. If you get through all that stuff and you're still okay, you're a stronger human being.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway. Yeah.
Well, you've had a chance. Have you had a chance to act alongside them before? Is that something that you've done?
Yep. I've had opportunity. A couple of times, all of us together. My wife, years ago, when we met, she was working on her MFA. My wife and I met on stage in a Shaw play, George Bernard Shaw play.
Okay.
Where we played people who were married to, it was a 4-character play. We were married to other people, but then we were supposedly having an affair. And for us, it took. And we've been together ever since. And my wife was working on her MFA in acting at the University of Minnesota. She didn't finish it because she had done all of her coursework, but she started working as an actress, getting paid for it. And she said, I don't need the MFA. Well, many years later, when her daughters were, they were 12 and 14, she decided she wanted to finish her MFA. So she contacted the university and they said, well, yes, come on back and do it. And so she showed what you have to do is you have to do an hour and 20 minutes of performance. And you do scenes and monologues. Well, the scenes involved, one daughter, and she did something from Shakespeare. The four of us did a piece together. The three of them did a piece. Then three of us, so we worked together at that time. And then I wrote a piece when my youngest was 18. They were 18 and 20. And I wrote a piece that we all worked together on. And I explained to people before they came that we weren't the Von Trapp family. The piece I wrote was very dark. There was humor to it, please.
Mm-hmm.
Please, God, let it be humorous. But it was also very dark.
Yeah.
And we got a chance to work together doing that. My older daughter, because she lives here and went to school here, we've done a couple of more shows together. We've done, two more shows together. The last one being, we did Romeo and Juliet, where she played Juliet, and I was Capulet, her father. And I got to throw her around the stage and grab her by her hair and push her to the floor. It was terrible. But we act, you know.
Yeah.
But it's great. I love working with my kids and my wife.
Yeah. That's wonderful. It's absolutely, to be able to work together and do all of you do something that you love, which is more than a lot of people can say, honestly.
Yeah, we really are. And I realize how lucky we are.
Yeah.
My daughter had a call back for a play today, and we always worked together. She came over and we ran through the scenes. We'd read the other lines, getting her prepared for the audition. So it's great. And they same thing when I have a TV or a film audition. I have to read, the audition. They'll work with me. It's really it's great because everyone has similar interest. And the really nice thing is they're good. It's one thing. It would be terrible if my daughter sucked.
Yeah.
Of course, as a dad, you feel like your kids walk on water.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I really am capable of being pretty non-judgmental, but also very objective.
Yeah, appropriately critical.
And they're both really good. And I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. I think they're both better than me as actors.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Cool.
So you've been doing this for quite a while, like going all the way back to Cheers. You had a part in Cheers.
Yes, I've been doing this a long time. Yeah. Yeah. Someday I'll learn what I'm doing and I'll get better at it, but I'm not sure.
One of these days, sir. Maybe you'll make it.
One of these, we were joking yesterday. It's like somebody said, "Boy, you've had a long career," and it really hit me. It's like, oh my God, I've had a career.
Yeah.
I never, as an actor, you don't really think of it that way until you've been doing it for a long time. You say, "Oh yeah, I guess I have.
Yeah.
I've done some stuff." Oh.
Well, you've had turns. You do stage. You do. You've done on-screen roles and voice acting. What's kind of your favorite one to do?
Boy, to be honest, stage is still number one.
Yeah.
Because it's what I was talking about earlier about the audience. The audience is so important. When you're on stage and you get a response from the audience, whether it's positive or negative, you know that you're having an effect on people, and you know that you're sharing that moment. The thing that I love about stage, and it's also kind of sad, is that when you're doing a piece, every night that you do it is different. And one night, if the audience is with you and they feed you and you feed them, there's an energy that happens in the room. It's hard to explain what the sensation is, but it's almost palpable. When you're doing something serious and you can hear a pin drop, or when everyone's laughing their heads off, it's a shared experience. And that experience will only happen one time. Only once will that happen because it's that moment.
Mm.
After the show, it's done. But I love that sort of feel. The thing I love about doing these conventions now is I get to hear responses from folks that before the conventions happened, you would never know.
Mm-hmm.
You would never know, how something you did that you may have thought, well, it's just my job or whatever. Or back in the day when it's animation, you think, well, we're just selling toys, that sort of thing. Then you find out people, it happened to them at a particular moment in their life, and it meant so much to them when they were 8, 10, 12 years old or whatever. Or a video game, when somebody's playing Metal Gear and they play it for 4, 6 hours at a time. And although you're not saying you haven't done the writing, Kojima's incredible mind is responsible for all that.
Yeah.
But when they can respond to your voice and it means something to them, and you get to hear that feedback, which is what actors, that's what you live for.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know any actor worth their salt or any actor with a brain who ever got into doing what we're doing for money.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do it for that because there's so many other ways you can make more money. You do it because, number one, you love doing it, but number two, you want to share an experience with the audience. Am I making any sense at all?
No, you're absolutely. So to kind of add on to that, one of my favorite memories, and I have a very particular connection with you and the Colonel, because I grew up with me and my dad would play Metal Gear Solid, the original one, on the PlayStation together. And
Yep.
one of his favorite things to do, and it's the whole reason why I'm into video games and now, is he would always pretend to be Colonel Campbell calling after Snake after he died.
Oh,
because I was 7 years old and I wasn't good at video games, so I would die a lot.
I love it. So you heard my voice a lot. Huh?
Oh yeah, so much, yeah. So it's quite frequently, but I've gotten better over time. But yeah, so I completely understand what you mean. It's the feeling of hearing those stories, and we've heard as much from a bunch of people we spoke to at the convention where we met Randall. We spoke to Cam Clark and David Hayter, who told us very similar things. Yeah, those guys.
They're a couple of no talents. I've never liked
those
them.
zeros.
Yeah. I always have to be careful because, if someone only hears that part, and
we take it out of context,
and they'll say, "Oh my God, Paul Eiding, what a jerk he is."
Yeah. Well, so I didn't tell you what we're going to do is we're going to take that clip and put it at the front of the podcast, and that's all they're going to hear.
Touche.
Do you find so? And you mentioned like the fan culture. Do you find that the culture around those gaming conventions and people who are fans of the games and cartoons you do you find that it's a similar feel to say theater performance and patrons of that kind of art? Do you find them similar, or is it a different kind of energy?
Yeah, I find it different. I find it more intense simply because the time spent listening to you, or time spent watching a particular cartoon, and you can see it over and over again, and hear your voice over and over again. To me, it always feels much more intense, much more passionate. Now, it may be different if you're on Broadway and people come back and see the show a few times. I've had that experience one time. I did a play here in Los Angeles. It's the longest running play in the history of California. It ran for almost 10 years. I only stayed in it for 7 months at one stretch, then left and did film, and I was doing a TV series. Then I went back and did it for a few more months, left again, then went back and did it again. And this was 8 shows a week that we did. And it was an immersive sort of a piece. The audience would come and they would pick someone to follow. And there were 10 actors. And the only way to see the show, the entire show, was to see it 10 times, to find each actor and follow them through the entire show. Because everyone had monologues. There would be 2-person scenes and 4-person scenes. It was a different type of theater. The audience didn't participate. They just were like flies on the wall. But during that show, we had groupies who would come and see the show I think the highest number, someone came to see it over 80 times. Because the first time you came, you paid full price. Second time, you had 25% off. Third price, half price, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, as long as you brought somebody who was paying something, you could come and see it for free. And it was an amazing piece of theater. And the audience could be right next to you. You could, they could smell your breath, or, they weren't allowed to touch you, but they could be really close to you. And it was a very emotional piece as well. And then the audience would, we had those people that were really passionate about the show. But generally, I find the cons, there's much more passion involved. There's much more investment as far as I'm concerned. If someone loves what you did, they let you know, and they'll come again and again. And it's, for me, passion is something that is a very important word to me. Anyone has a passion for something, as long as you're not hurting someone else, I say go for it, because it's something that we lose the older we get. Little kids, when they love something or get excited about something, they let everybody know. It's out there in the open. And then we are taught over years to feel a little more ashamed of ourselves or whatever. Cons, you're allowed to do and feel what you want to feel. And granted, we have a lot of folks who come to shows, not so much gamers, but a lot of folks who are on animation, or even gamers too, a lot of folks who are on the spectrum. And to watch the joy and the excitement that they have about meeting you, or you watch them meet somebody else, it's infectious. And I love it. I wish everyone could rekindle that passion. One thing that, do you mind me telling you a little quick story? Hopefully I'm not boring you.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
All right. One of the things I love to do is when someone will come and they'll say, oh my gosh, you did, you were, what, that time in two. In two, when you said, and I said, when you're going crazy and you say that thing, and I'll say, okay, close your eyes, and then I'll say the word lines like, I hear it's amazing when the famous purple stuffed worm in flapjaw space with a tuning fork does a raw blink on Harry Carey rock. I need scissors, 61.
That's my favorite one.
And I love it. And you can watch their face change, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, I love that. And when you do it with little kids for, video games or whatnot. Yeah. Well, I did at Transformers Con back in March. And there's an actor that I worked with back in 85, 86. The actor's name, well, it doesn't really matter. His name is Clive Revel. Clive Revel was an actor. He's like 88 years old now, 88 or 89. And I told him, I reminded him of the story. I said, remember when we first started doing this, I was one of the younger ones. And I told you what a fan I was of yours. And he said, oh, from Star Wars? Because he was the first, first emperor, anyway, whoever he was. I said, no, because you were one of the first Fagans in the musical Oliver on Broadway.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I was just a huge fan of yours. And I was in awe of working with you, these people. And he came over to me And he reached up, because he's a little guy now, he reached up, put his hands on my shoulders, and he said, "Paul, close your eyes." And he leaned into me, and he sang me the first verse of one of the songs. And I got chills. I got chills, and it's like it took me right back to that moment. And when we, as actors, can bring somebody back to a moment that meant something to them, it's like, okay, what else am I on earth for? You know?
Yeah, you've done this is the thing that you've set out to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's as far as an acting job. Yeah, so I never feel, back to your first question, I never feel obligated. I always feel honored that we can share something.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So, yeah, absolutely. Now, so of course the podcast is called Metal Gear Monday, so I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Metal Gear at least a little bit.
You betcha.
We've talked to a lot of people so far. We've been lucky to speak to several people who've worked on the series and been acted in the series, and we've been kind of taken with everybody how they got to be in the series. What was your journey to get there like?
Well, yeah, you had mentioned at one point, Quentin is Ohio. Chris is Ohio. Chris Salter. Yeah. Chris Zimmerman Salter, who's directed all of them. Mm-hmm. And myself. See, we have what you call an Ohio mafia.
I was gonna mention.
No, not at all.
I'm also from Ohio, so it holds a place in my heart.
Whereabouts?
Dayton.
Where are you from?
Dayton.
Where?
Dayton.
Oh, Dayton.
Yes, sir.
I had an uncle who lived in Dayton. I'm Cleveland.
Yes.
What the best location in the nation, or the mistake on the lake, is what we call it.
Do you follow football much?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. You've told me all you need to tell me.
Yes, I do.
It's my dad also, and he feels the same way.
Yeah, but Baker.
Yeah,
they do something, and the dude can play.
Something's got to give soon, because especially now, because you've got Odell Beckham Jr. now, so something's got to give, right?
Well, as long as Odell Beckham doesn't go crazy.
Yeah, maybe.
And turn on everybody. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm holding off on that one. But there's always tomorrow. No, well,
always tomorrow.
The way I got, like I said, I'm an actor, and years ago, I'm going to tell you how I met Chris. Years ago, I did a play in Los Angeles when I first moved to town in '83, and Gordon Hunt, who's the father of Helen Hunt, the Academy Award winner. Mm-hmm. Gordon was the casting director and director at Hanna-Barbera, and he saw the play where I played 3 different characters, had 3 different voices. I played an African manservant, and with no makeup. The conceit was you knew it was a white man playing a black man. And mm-hmm. I also played a Cockney soldier, so with a Cockney accent, and I also played a 5-year-old girl, the most unattractive 5-year-old girl you'd ever can imagine, with Mary Jane shoes and ruffled panties, the whole bit. And he saw the show, liked what he saw, contacted my agent, and brought me in to do a bunch of general auditions for, like 10 different types of characters. Then started bringing me in. Gordon Hunt started the careers for the top voice directors in Los Angeles today. Jenny McSwain, Colette Sunderman, all these folks, Andrea Romano, and Chris Zimmerman at the time, now Chris Salter. Mm-hmm. And so Chris had used me. After that, she went on her own, and she directed actually the first incarnation of Ben 10.
Oh,
I've
really?
done several video games with her, lots of animation over the years. And then she called me and she said, "Look, I've got this thing that I'd like to audition for, And I had no idea what it was about. And she said it was, it's a military guy and I'd been in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Not a colonel. I was only a sergeant. Um, and she called me in, and I don't remember exactly what her suggestion was, but she told me, who he was, how big he was, what he looked like. I got to see, the drawing of him. And then I don't think in this first one that I even got to hear the Japanese version. I don't think we did. Oh gosh, I'm not sure now if I heard where his voice was placed. I don't think so. Anyway, and so I came up with what I came up with, and waited, and then got the call that I got cast. So it was simple as that, auditioning for it.
Yeah.
And apparently she hadn't called in too many people.
She had, we spoke to her previously, and she had mentioned to us that she had like a short list of people that she wanted on the project. She was just like, hey, come in, and she hired, I think she said one person from the people she wanted didn't get cast.
Right, because they had a list, but they had someone who really wasn't a cast, who didn't know the talent in town.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely person, Kamiko. I think it was a Kamiko, but she didn't know any of the talent. She just put out a call and had folks. But Chris had been around, and she knew what she was looking for. And luckily, I was one of those. Yeah, and she's still a dear friend. Our kids grew up together. We had play groups together from the time they were born. So we go back. Well, my daughter is 30 now, so at least 30 years, 29 years. So she knows what she's getting. And she knows what people can. She knows what people can do.
Yeah, She knew what trouble she was getting in when she called you.
Exactly. Okay, you said it. That's the truth. Yeah, she knew what she was getting into. Okay, she loves to tell this story. Now, this is a Me Too thing that would never happen today. All right.
I think I know what you're going to say, because she told us to ask you about this, but I would love to hear you tell it.
We were somewhere. It was a party somewhere, and I'm just a goofball. Okay. I went up. Somebody said, "Hi, Paul. This is Chris. Chris, this is Paul." So I took her. I took her hand to shake it, and instead of shaking it, or sometimes people raise the hand and kiss the back of the hand. Well, I just raised her hand up and licked the back of her hand. And she was so stunned. There was nothing sexual about it. It was just a stupid thing. And she said, "I fell in love with him." So we've been friends ever since, because it was such a goofy thing to do.
You made an impression.
I made an impression, and she still talks about it. It's like, oh, years ago I'd forgotten about it, and she brought it up. It's like, oh my God, yeah, that's right.
That sure did happen.
All the things we do.
That is wonderful. You mentioned that you served in the military.
Yeah.
What did you do when you were in the military, and did your time serving, did that inform how you played Campbell at all?
It only informed it in that I was the head of a platoon of guys. However, it was it was not similar too much, because I went in 11 Bravo, which is infantry, and then they put me in artillery, but then at one point they had me. When I got shipped over to Germany, they shipped me to Germany, and they said we had this. It was the 3rd Infantry Division, which was the most decorated division of the Second World War. And they had they brought us all into a theater, We had to watch a movie to Hell and Back, which is about the Third Infantry Division. And then they said, okay, we'd like a show of hands. Does anyone sing or play an instrument? Well, I was a music major in school. So I raised my hand, I played bass, and I sang. So they took me and a few other guys into another room where I met this guy who was found he was the conductor of this army group. And I auditioned and got in as a singer and a bass player. And within 6 months, I was leading the group. So from then on, I was in charge of 35 guys. So as far as making decisions and that sort of thing, and the really hard thing was, and I mean this is sincerely difficult. This was during a time when if you didn't stay in the group, they would send you to another unit. And that unit would often would end up in a battle situation.
Yeah.
And there was a time when I couldn't save a couple of the guys. I couldn't keep them in the group. Their time was up after 11 months, 13 months. They had to ship out. Mm-hmm. And a few times we could talk the general into going our way and keeping people there. But sometimes you couldn't. And then I would find out years later what happened to some of the guys that we couldn't keep. Mm. And that was hard. But it was one of those situations where you end up sending somebody into a situation the way a snake got, talked into things. It's interesting because I'd never thought about it until this moment. Mm. So thanks for bringing up something sad, you jerk.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh no!
But I'm really, I had never thought of it in those situations. Yeah. But that's basically what I was doing, against my will. Mm. But when you're in the military, you don't have.
Yeah, there's not a lot of will involved. Yeah, no, my dad was also in the military, so I get that completely.
Yeah, you do what you're told to do.
Yeah.
So what was the question? No.
I military, man. I think you got it.
Yeah.
So you've had your share of big series. Of course, Ben 10 is a huge series. You've done voices in all Diablos 1, 2, and 3. You've worked with Bethesda on Fallout. You've done God of War. Where does Metal Gear rank in all of these?
Number 1. You don't even have to finish. Yeah.
Okay.
I love Diablo. I loved StarCraft. Diablo and the first Diablo and Metal Gear were very close to the same time when I recorded the first one. It was like 98, 99 or something like that. And when I started working at Blizzard, it was before Blizzard was Blizzard. Mm-hmm. It was early on, and it was great working, talking about the Rodrum and all that stuff. They've been very loyal as well because I've worked on all those, StarCraft 1, 2, I think, and Warcraft. I'm the guy who says you must construct additional pylons.
Yes.
You need more Vespene gas. So people either love or hate me. It's like enough with the gas. But Metal Gear, the mind of Kojima, mm-hmm. and the execution of that the game, the work that went into it, and the arc of the story. It just continued. We're not talking one little game.
Yeah.
So it's Metal Gear.
Yeah.
And I go to a con where there's this weekend, which was more a Transformers centric con. I had as many people, if not more, come up to me, want autographs and whatnot for Metal Gear. Than for it's true. Metal Gear is still still in everybody's sensibilities. It's like, it's because it's a quality product, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Metal Gear you've been in?
Let's see, for sadness?
For sadness?
Oh, God.
We can categorize it like that if you want to. I guess just in general, but I'm curious about the for sadness
Or,
one. Yeah.
Yeah, God. Metal Gear Solid. I loved working on just being the Colonel in 2, because it's so weird. And what they did to me on that one, not telling me what was going on until it was all over.
So you had no idea like of the twist at all?
No. Chris didn't tell you this? Here's what she said to me. We recorded everything, okay? I'm done with and that was the only one that Kojima-san was there for.
Okay.
But we recorded everything, and the last day, she came into the, I don't know if they were still writing it or what, but she came in with this sheet of paper, this long piece of paper, with all this stuff typed on it, and said, okay, we'd like you to read all these different paragraphs. They're not connected to one another. And I said, well, okay, well, what does this mean? I was driving home last Thursday, and there's an orange light in the sky. And she said, no, don't worry about it. Just what does it say to you? Have a feeling about it and say those things. And that's when there was also the whatever, and then all the Japanese names, and I Need Sister 61 was on there. All those things.
Was it actually you saying the train stations? They just sped you up?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I said all that stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was phonetic, and then they sped it up. Yeah,
sure.
Are you talking about the names, the Japanese?
Yeah, words? the Japanese train. It was the Japanese train stations. I think it was, but
yeah, exactly. That was me. They just sped them all up. And that was the last thing that I recorded. And I said, what does it mean? He said, don't worry about it. It'll come clear once the game is out. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm talking about needing money and, troubles at home. And wow. Okay. All right.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but it was, and I'm sure she told you about where we recorded and all that stuff, and having to wait for trash trucks because we didn't have a real studio.
Oh no, I don't think she did actually.
Oh really? Yeah,
I don't think so.
The first one, Metal Gear Solid, we were in Hollywood. Some people say the Hollywood Hills. It wasn't really the hills. We were in this old house, and they had microphones set up in one room. And then the other room, there was where the engineers were. But there was no, it wasn't a studio, so there was no soundproofing anywhere. So every time, and on Thursdays, it was either Wednesdays or Thursdays, trash trucks would come by or motorcycles would come by, and we'd be recording Snake. You got to do, what, Snake. You're creating you create a time parrot, and then would come by, and we'd have to stop and start again.
Oh man!
And it was like that. It was crazy, and everything took longer because of all those distractions. But the great thing was, it was one of the few games we worked on where we actually got to be in the room together. David and I were in the room together.
Yeah, he mentioned that it was kind of a rare thing for video games at the time.
Yeah. And of course, David probably knew better than anyone what we had there. Most of us didn't, and we knew it was something special, but we didn't know what it was going to be like. Who knew it was going
to blow up like this?
Be as big as it was. Yeah. Probably David did, He's smarter than me. We're going
He's
to
a clever.
Australia together.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. You had mentioned that. When are you going to
Yeah,
be there?
we leave on the 18th.
On the 18th, and you're going to be
We go to
where?
Sydney for a week. And then we go to Perth for a week. Now, I've been to Sydney. This will be my fifth time doing different cons. But this will be David's first time, so he's going to blow up.
Oh wow! No, his first time in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So the fans are going to go crazy.
And I saw you tweeting at Miss Donna Burke the other day as well.
She's going to be there too. Well, you see what I did? I did my homework.
I did. I saw.
It wasn't hard because I had heard of them before. Someone else had mentioned them on one of our other trips, and it was just this stupid show that was in the, I guess, 80s, 90s, or maybe 90s, early 2000s, and I just quoted some of the stuff that they did, some of the lines they used.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to we've been following each other for a while, but this will be the first time we actually meet, which would be great.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
So I want to ask. So because we're coming up on time, and I want to kind of be respectful of your time here. I want to ask one more serious question, and then kind of like a little fun question, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
So, you've been we can go back to this if you want to, but you've been working in the industry for a while, and I wanted to know, do you feel like the industry, gaming, voice acting for video games, do you feel like it's growing, or do you feel like it's still kind of in its infancy? And what do you think the world for voice talents in games, as opposed to animation or film, like?
Well, I think it's still growing, and I think it's going to be changing more and more. I think a lot of it's going to depend upon the demands of the fans, what the fans want, because I can see some places, some companies want to go more. How do I put this? Automated, and use instead of using real humans, finding a way of making things cheaper. And I think one of the reasons that games have gotten so much better is they started using actors. Back in the day of Diablo, some of the guys, or even before that, they would use guys who worked at the studio. They would be programmers or whoever, just come in, do this voice. And some of them really sucked. And then they started using actors, and things, I think, got better and better. Of course, I'm kind of biased, but I think it's still changing so much, and the capabilities. Video games now, I challenge people to you can compare a lot of the games visually and story-wise with any film that's out there. Guys who write these games there's some smart dudes out there. They're not just, okay, let's do a shoot 'em up. Let's do Donkey Kong, but with words. There's so much more to them, and I always approach video games as basically radio drama, because that's what it is. You're telling stories. There's a reason for what you're doing. I think it's still growing. I hope it's still growing, but I hope also that they continue wanting, and the fans demand good acting.
Yeah.
I keep telling. When I do these conventions, people say, "Oh, you know what? People say I've got a good voice. I think I might want to try this on the side." And for someone who's made it a career, it's not something you do on the side. You can do that and maybe do a video game here, a video game there, or do a cartoon here or there.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have any
Major
lasting
success.
quality.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it depends on what the fans demand.
Sure.
Because people do, producers, bottom line, eventually they do listen to what the fans want, So I'm hoping it's still growing, and I'm hoping it in a positive manner,
Yeah.
Because I know, visually, Lord, no, the sky's the limit. You don't know what's real anymore.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful, but it's also kind of scary. when they put words in somebody's mouth, it's like, wow, you can really do that? Anyway, does that answer your question at all?
Very much so. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
And just from talking to you, your passion for what you do is tangible. Like I can feel it in the air. So what I want to know is if it's not acting, what does Paul Eiding do for fun?
Oh. What do I do for fun? Not acting.
Not acting?
Well, my wife and I like to travel. Mm-hmm. I like to spend time with this sounds so corny.
It's not corny. It's not corny if it's true.
I love hanging out with my daughters and my wife. One of the reasons I love doing the cons overseas is because these are mini vacations. Whether we go to the UK or Malta or Australia or New Zealand, we get to hang out, and we still like each other, which is really cool. and I'm also a huge. If I had to choose something else, and I was younger and in better shape than I am now, I would go back to coaching soccer. I coached both my daughters for 15 years, and absolutely loved soccer, or what this household calls it, football. And I love watching it. Like right now, I've got several games of the Women's World Cup I'm going to be watching. So I'll be up till 2-3 in the morning, watching all the games and critiquing them and screaming about why somebody didn't cover the far post. That's and I enjoy writing. I'm written several short pieces, and I'm going to be doing an audio book. That's going to be fun. I'll be reading my wife has a novel that's being released in August. So I'll be working on that. And I love working with her, helping her polish things. So it still has to do with the arts. And I love going to the theater. We really, truly believe if you're an actor, there is or any human, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing like live theater.
Yeah.
Because live is the word, you're watching people, and there's always the danger that watching somebody live, somebody can screw up, forget a line, and it's like, okay, I want to be there for that.
Exhilarating almost.
Yeah, it's just, it's exciting. I enjoy it. So I'm always saying, if you've seen any of my posts, it's always, when I'm talking about theater, I always say, please support live theater, because there ain't nothing like it. I'm not a very good artist. My wife is an artist and a sculptor. She's really good with that stuff. I'm better with words and building stuff. I just looked out my window. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I love building wood, building things with wood. I decided we have this tree out in our patio that needed something around it, so I built benches and chairs, things that I never thought I was any good at when I was younger because I was afraid to try it. But after owning my own home for years and years, I finally said, screw it. If I mess up, it's mine. Who cares? That whole attitude,
Yeah.
it took me a long time to get to. Screw it. Who cares?
Yeah.
It frees you. You're like, oh, yeah, I can do that. What the heck? That make any sense?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. You've
Cool.
earned the right. You've earned the right to just say this. I'm doing this for me.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Well, Paul, it has been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. So you're going to Australia with David. You've got the audiobook coming out in August. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our fans about that might be coming down the pipeline for you?
Games, a couple of games I cannot talk about.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can't talk about them yet. So it's basically, I'm doing the audiobook thing. I just finished one. And I'll be doing that one. I'm doing a couple of readings. I'm doing a Shakespeare. We're doing a Measure for Measure. Working on that, rehearsing that right now. And I work with a couple of different theater groups that we do something every month. And if anybody wants to, find out about this stuff, they can, follow me on Twitter. It's the number 4, Paul Eiding, and also Instagram because I'm hip.
Oh yeah.
And and on Facebook, it's just my name, Paul Eiding, and it'll be a picture of me as Colonel Campbell that a fan rigged up for me.
Yeah.
And I'm also on Cameo if anybody wants me to do a shout out for somebody. Yeah, and David actually got me into that. He's like, David, Paul, you got to go on Cameo, man. It's like, all right, fine.
That's where all the cool kids are. David's on there. Chris Randolph's on there. Everybody's on there.
Yeah, so I said, okay. So I'm on, and you know what? It's really fun because I've had people, they'll give you a little script. My 2 favorite, I'll make this quick. 2 favorites. One was inviting the newly married couple to the dance floor for their first dance as Colonel Campbell.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm telling them to get to the floor now. People are waiting. Your mission is to get to the dance floor. And also there was a gentleman working on his PhD who had been having a hard time. And I just told him that the world needs men of intellect, and we're counting on you. I forgot what else I said, but it was one of those, it's just fun to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's, just stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I'm working in the garden. I'm working in my garden.
So they can find you in your garden.
You can find me in the garden. All right.
So the way that we exit out of our podcast is we typically find a way, we meander to it, we stumble around it, but eventually we tell everybody.
Like my life, the story of my life. Meander around it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So we eventually tell everybody that listens to the show that it's just a box. And I was wondering if Colonel Campbell would be able to tell our listeners that.
It's just a what?
A box.
Just a box?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so somehow.
However you want to get there.
You mean talking about Snake's box?
Yeah, I mean it comes from one of the soldiers. If you get caught, if a soldier sees Snake in the box, he says that in the first game. So we just kind of
just a box. Yeah, it was very cool. I got to say, also, I'm in with David. We did a con together in San Antonio, and there was a young man who came. He rented a truck. It was a 3-day con. And he brought 3 boxes, and 3 different colored boxes for each day of the con. He was in full cosplay, and he brought a regular cardboard box, Then there was a blue box, and I forgot what the other one was. I didn't see him the third day, but I knew that he had said that he had rented a van. And I said, "Why did you rent the van?" He said, "Well, it's for my cosplay." I said, "But you look like Snake. It's great." And he pointed down at the floor, and I said, "Yes, but it's just a box."
Just a box.